This reading covers three main areas, right? Love, finance, and career. Okay, let's start with love.
Mm.
The card drawn for you here was the Eight of Swords, but interestingly, it's reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Eight of Swords upright, that usually means feeling stuck, right? Limited, maybe trapped by your own thoughts in a relationship.
That's the classic interpretation, yeah. Feeling restricted, maybe self-imposed restrictions even.
So what happens when it flips
Wrath.
and it's reversed?
Well, that's where it gets quite hopeful, actually. The reversed Eight of Swords points to a release. A release from those exact feelings of being trapped or restricted.
Ah, okay.
It suggests that you, our listener, might be right in the middle of moving away from that, or perhaps you're already feeling a sense of greater freedom in your love life.
So maybe you felt kind of boxed in before, relationship-wise.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
And this card suggests something's changing now, allowing that sense of liberation to come through.
That's really interesting. So it's not just like the situation changing on the outside. Maybe
Yeah.
it's something inside you shifting, seeing things differently, breaking free yourself.
Precisely. That's a key part of the reverse Eight of Swords. It really emphasizes that active part, you taking steps towards freedom. It's about reclaiming your own power in love.
Okay.
Have you maybe spotted some old relationship patterns or even like self-sabotaging thoughts that you're now consciously trying to tackle?
Yeah.
This reversal often signals that inner strength coming back online, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. So for our listener, this could mean what? Finding the courage to leave a relationship that's just not working.
Could be, definitely.
Or maybe finally pushing back against those nagging self-doubts that stop you from really connecting. It feels like it's about taking action.
It is. Taking those steps toward your own liberation.
Oh.
And the impact that can have, well, it can be quite profound.
How so? What might change going forward?
Well, think about it. When you develop that self-assurance, when you decide you're not staying in situations that limit you, that's attractive, right?
Yeah, definitely. Confidence.
Exactly. You start drawing different kinds of energy, different kinds of people towards you. The reading suggests potential for more positive, uplifting connections because you're embracing this freedom.
It's like taking down a wall that was maybe keeping good things out.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
So the main takeaway for love here seems to be this strong move towards freedom, shedding old stuff, stepping into your power. It really highlights knowing your own worth.
Absolutely. And it's worth remembering, this kind of external shift often starts inside.
Right.
So the reading is implicitly nudging towards focusing on, self-love, self-care, just your own personal growth. When you feel good about yourself, secure. That's a much better foundation for any relationship.
Makes total sense. So if someone's hearing this, what are some practical things they could actually do to work with this energy?
Well, the reading points to a few things. First, maybe take some real time to reflect on those past patterns in relationships. What did you learn? What do you really need?
Okay, like journaling or just thinking it through.
Yeah. And second, do more things that actually boost your self-esteem, things that make you feel empowered, what genuinely brings you joy and makes you feel strong.
Make time for that stuff.
Definitely. And then on a practical level, be open. Open to new experiences, new people. You're heading into a new phase.
Keep an open mind.
Exactly. And finally, trust your gut. Trust your intuition. You know best what feels right for you in love, so listen to those inner signals.
Okay, good advice. Let's shift gears then. Finance. The card here is the Three of Swords, and like the love card, this one's also reversed.
Another reversal, yes.
Now, swords, they can sometimes point to conflict, difficulty, maybe mental stuff.
They often do, yeah. They deal with thoughts, communication, sometimes challenges. And the upright Three of Swords, well, that's often linked to emotional pain, heartbreak, sometimes loss, difficult news.
Ouch, okay.
But here, reversed, in the context of finance, it suggests a release from that kind of emotional pain related to money.
Ah, okay. So less heartbreak about money.
Kind of, yeah. Or at least a lessening of the emotional distress. Have you been feeling perhaps really anxious or weighed down by financial worries lately?
A common feeling for many.
It is, and this reversed card suggests a shift away from that heavy emotional burden.
So if upright might mean financial stress, causing real emotional pain, reversed is like that weightlifting. Feeling freer from the worry emotionally.
That's the core idea, yeah. Emotional freedom from those financial burdens.
How might that actually show up for someone? What could they be experiencing?
The reading hints at a few possibilities. Maybe just feeling less general anxiety around money.
Okay.
perhaps finding it easier to detach emotionally from, like, material things.
Hmm.
Realizing your self-worth isn't just your bank balance.
That's a big one.
It is. It could also mean breaking free from cycles of financial stress or debt that have been really getting you down emotionally. Have you noticed any of those kinds of shifts happening?
That sounds incredibly positive.
Yeah.
It's not just about the dollars and cents, but the feelings wrapped up in it.
Exactly. The emotional component is huge with money.
So how do you go from just feeling less bad emotionally to actually building a healthier financial picture?
Right, that's the connection. This emotional release can actually free up the mental energy you need to look at your finances more logically, more practically.
Clears your head a bit.
Precisely. The reading really emphasizes focusing on what you can control now financially, rather than getting stuck on past mistakes or future what-ifs. So this might be a really good time to reassess your priorities. What do you truly need versus what do you just want?
Needs versus wants. Classic budgeting step.
It is, but it can feel less daunting when you're not carrying all that emotional baggage. Maybe implement a budget, track expenses, and also remember to acknowledge the small wins. Any little financial success helps build positive momentum.
Good point. Now, any potential downsides or things to watch out for when you're in this kind of release phase?
Well, the reading does subtly caution about one thing: emotional spending.
Like feeling free and then overdoing it.
Exactly. When you feel that sense of release, maybe there's a temptation to splurge or make impulsive decisions triggered by emotion, even positive emotion. So it's just a reminder to still pause, reflect, check your motivations before big financial moves.
Makes sense. But it sounds like there's a big opportunity here, too, alongside the challenge.
Oh, absolutely. This emotional clarity is a fantastic chance to reevaluate your bigger financial goals and values. Ask yourself, what really brings you fulfillment? And how does your spending actually line up with that? When you consciously align your money choices with your deeper values, that brings a different kind of satisfaction.
Beyond just having stuff.
Way beyond. Ultimately, tackling the emotional side of finance is key to making informed, rational choices for long-term stability.
Okay, that's really helpful. Let's move to the final area, career.
All right.
The card here is the Four of Swords. Now, this one's upright, unlike the others.
Yes, upright this time.
What's the main message of the Four of Swords in a work context?
The primary vibe of the Four of Swords, especially in career, is rest, recuperation, a need to withdraw a bit.
Sounds like maybe someone's been overdoing it.
That's often the implication, yeah. It strongly suggests might be feeling the effects of overwork, maybe stress, perhaps even heading towards burnout. Have you been feeling particularly drained, maybe uninspired at work recently? That's the kind of feeling this card taps into.
That feeling of just being tapped out, overwhelmed, maybe lacking motivation.
Exactly. The Four of Swords is like a clear signal saying, hey, you need to consciously step back for a minute.
Okay. So what kind of specific things might this card be pointing out career-wise?
Well, the reading suggests a few potential insights. First, a real need to maybe reevaluate your priorities at work.
Okay.
And maybe establish some firmer boundaries between work and, the rest of your life. Work-life balance.
Always a challenge.
Isn't it just? It also suggests you might be genuinely depleted mentally or emotionally, and that taking time to recharge isn't like being lazy. It's actually necessary for your well-being and your career long-term.
It also mentioned something about a pause for reassessing career goals. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, it doesn't automatically mean like quit your job tomorrow.
Right.
But the Four of Swords can signal a really valuable time to step back from the daily grind and look at the bigger picture. Where are you actually heading? Are your goals still what you want?
A strategic pause.
Exactly. It's a chance to reflect, maybe adjust your course if needed. The card also kind of nudges you to look into new ways to manage stress or improve productivity, things like mindfulness, maybe better time management, delegation, if that's possible.
So it's not about just stopping, but pausing smartly to recharge and think.
That's the key.
What kind of questions should someone be asking themselves right now if this card comes up for their career?
The reading really prompts some good self-reflection, like what parts of your work actually bring you joy? What feels fulfilling?
Okay.
And conversely, what are the main things causing the stress? What's leading to that burnout feeling? Pinpoint those.
It's specific.
Yeah. And maybe the biggest question, how can you proactively prioritize your own well-being to make your work life more sustainable, maybe even more enjoyable going forward?
Feels important to stress this isn't about being lazy, is it? It's strategic self-care.
Absolutely crucial point. This isn't permission to slack off indefinitely. The Four of Swords is saying that prioritizing your well-being is a strategic move. It's not selfish, it's smart.
How so?
Because by taking that necessary rest, that time to recharge, you'll ultimately come back to your work with more energy, more clarity, a stronger sense of purpose. You'll actually be more effective and resilient.
Sometimes slowing down helps you speed up later.
Precisely. Sometimes the most productive thing is to actually step back and let yourself recover.
Okay, wow. So let's quickly try and tie this all together.
Yeah.
This deep dive into your reading for April 25th. It shows a really interesting mix of energies.
Definitely some clear themes.
In love, it's about actively making space for liberation, stepping into your own power.
Yeah, breaking free.
In finance, it's about letting go of those heavy emotional ties to money worries, getting clearer.
Emotional release. Yeah.
And then in career, it's a strong call to actually prioritize rest, rethink things, focus on well-being.
Right. Release, reevaluation, rest. They kind of weave through all three areas, don't they?
They really do. It's quite interconnected.
Yeah, considering that connection, maybe a final thought for our listener. If you think about these themes weaving together across love, finance, career, what's maybe one small conscious step you could take, maybe even today, in any of those areas?
Just one small thing.
Yeah, one small step to consciously align yourself with this guidance, something to move towards that more empowered, more balanced future the cards seem to be pointing towards. Just something to mull over.
That's a great question to leave things on. Thank you so much for sharing your reading with us.
Yeah, thanks for letting us dive in.
We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and perspectives.